Hello, Weather Joy here with your bottom of the South Island seasonal recap for 2020, the summer of. We're going back over some seasonal recaps here, just trying to get caught up. And yeah, we're going to start with 2020. We'll move on to 2020. I'm going to do 3 in a row, kind of just like I did with the spring ones. Get caught up, and then I'm going to be right on schedule for you, and you'll get a better sense of the whole seasonal recap and the ceremony around that. So we're going to put that together as the seasons change for you. Anyway, let's get into the summer of 2020. So I'm reading these off the records, and keep in mind that my uncle has records that go all the way back at least 20 years of his own, and then another all the way back to the early 40s, having summarized all that. So that's all on record if anyone ever needs to get in touch with me and figure it out. But it's in my possession as of now. Spring 2020. So, here's a summary. We'll go over a basic summary and then we'll go into a little bit more detail, but it shouldn't take too long. 2020, a mid-May heat wave leads us to believe that we're into another May start to summer, because we had been in maybe 6 of them previous to that. Early summer starts. But spring weather returns, carrying on into mid-June before summer arrives on June 17th with the first summer day of June. And it's from here, it's really a very average summer through July and August. However, early September continues with hot summer weather, and with a drought over the U.S. West, we see major fires across California, Oregon, and Washington, which brings smoke to the south coast. Fall arrives mid-September, but summer returns with one last push of warm weather to finish off September and start October. Okay, so yeah, very average summer. Let's go into detail here. Summer begins June 17th this year with June's first summer day after a fairly average spring, although cooler and wetter and less summery than the last few or several summers, as we mentioned. High pressure with support over the U.S. West Coast brings a start to our summer. We've gone over lots of that stuff here. Low pressure, however, continues its presence in the Gulf of Alaska, so an overall west-southwest to west flow keeps a week of alternating spring-summer weather coming at the coast, and that is for the end of June. Towards the end of June. As we move into the last stretch of June, flow shifts to the northwest as ridging well offshore begins to dominate the picture. This brings an upper low and cool weather to the south coast for the start of July, and a continued trend of troughing right through well into the second week of July. As we approach mid-month, we see a shift in the pattern with high pressure strengthening to the west-southwest, bringing a return to summer weather with a fairly seasonal west-northwest flow that gets quite warm at times. As we move to the end of July, hot summer weather kicks in with a couple of heat blasts from both high pressure ridging followed by a southerly flow. Warm summer weather continues into early August, but towards the end of the first week, gets interrupted by bouts of rain as fronts from the Gulf of Alaska lows push onto the coast. After these pass through, we move into a cool west-northwest flow that slowly turns back to summer. Then hot, as ridging pushes up from the U.S. West once again by mid-month. This ridge is paired with low pressure offshore, which keeps a nice, hot, warm south flow for a few days before the ridge backs off south, and eventually low pressure offshore brings rain. As we get further into the last 10 days of August, flow flattens out to the west-southwest, then west, and seasonal summer days return. By the end of August, this flow has gone to a cooler, cloudier west-northwest to northwest flow. September begins with high pressure ridging to the southwest, shifting over the U.S. West and slowly flattening out this west-northwest flow towards the west. This ridge gets support from further ridging offshore, spreading onto the coast to bring a nice September heat wave into the second week of September. Eventually this comes to an end with surface low pressure off Washington coast, bringing cooler marine air up from the south, but also smoke from Oregon fires. This south flow continues through mid-month with the help of new low pressure to the southwest that also bring bands of showers and the first rain in over 2 weeks from the south. By the equinox, the first strong systems are moving into the Gulf of Alaska, bringing significant rain to the south coast over the course of 4 days. Despite these strong systems persisting up into the Gulf of Alaska, our rain comes to an end and summer returns full force as ridging sets up over the U.S. West Coast, again bringing beautiful weather for late September and into the first few days of October, with only brief spells of fog and smoke. So once again, overall a fairly average summer for 2020. There you go for 2020. I'll be back for 2021 in 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14.